climate scientist has now come under pressure to resign over a series of leaked emails which global warming skeptics say point to a mass conspiracy. The scandal erupted after a research server was hacked into and private emails and documents were released, suggesting that scientists may have colluded to prevent the release of climate data. For more on this, we are now joined by our London correspondent, Laura Emmett. So, Laura, wow, interesting subject here indeed. I'll get straight to the point. This issue seems to be causing a lot of controversy. How likely is it that people will lose their jobs over this?
Well, Rory, I think in order to assess that, really, it's important to look at who all these people are that are involved. Obviously, there's Professor Jones, who is the scientist at the heart of this recent leaked email scandal. He stands accused, basically, of massaging the figures that relate to temperature globally. Then, of course, there's the University of East Anglia, which is the university that he works for. He's the head of the Climate Research Centre, and that's the top source of temperature data in the world. So it's a very important research institute when it comes to climate change. And the person who has called for his resignation is none other than George Monbiot. And as I'm sure you know, Rory, George Monbiot is a leading environmentalist. Really, his name is synonymous with green issues in the UK. It's been said of him that he's the acceptable face of green activism by the Independent newspaper. He eats meat, he won't take to the trees, and he won't swear at the police. So a lot of people listen to what George Monbiot's got to say, and I think from Professor Jones's point of view, if there's anyone you don't want calling for your resignation in the position that he's in, it's probably Monbiot. He doesn't want the green establishment turning against him. So it's certainly possible that heads will roll. But perhaps what's more important about this whole scandal is that it raises serious issues about the science of climate change, and not just that, but science in general. If figures can be used to show anything you like, then where's the vigorous testing that science is supposed to represent? However, the University of East Anglia is standing by its research and by Professor Jones. And Jones himself thinks that this was a deliberate attempt to undermine the entire science behind climate change ahead of the very important Copenhagen summit on greenhouse gases that's coming up at the beginning of next month. So we'll have to see how this develops.
Laura, forgive me, can we just backtrack for a moment here? Could you remind us of how this scandal developed?
Yeah, of course I can. So it all surrounds around a hacker who got into the University of East Anglia's computers and took from the Climate Research Centre 1,000 emails and 3,000 documents, which he then posted to a server in Russia. So they're all available for everybody to see on the internet. And they raise serious issues about the methods and practices used to present data that relates to climate change. I'll give you a couple of examples. The word trick is used in these emails to describe the analysis of temperature. Climate change skeptics are saying that they've used a trick in order to suggest that temperature for the last 1,000 years has been rising, when in fact skeptics say that temperature has been falling. Professor Jones also expressed some measure of glee when he heard about the death of a leading climate change skeptic, so that doesn't look good. And really this whole thing has reopened the debate surrounding the science that climate change is based on. Skeptics say that the Earth's temperature has in fact remained more or less steady since 1998, and that there's some information that shows that suggests that temperatures will get cooler over the coming years and not warmer. So there certainly are still things to be looked at regarding climate change. And I mentioned the Copenhagen conference, which starts on the 7th of December. This is going to make getting a deal on the reduction of greenhouse gases from the countries that will be represented there much more difficult than it originally would have been, and it wasn't going to be an easy sell anyway. So we'll have to see how that pans out at Copenhagen, Rory.
Well, Laura, that's certainly bound to raise a few eyebrows in Copenhagen. Thank you very much for keeping us up to date on that, and we'll get more down the road. Laura Emmett reporting live from London.